Hey everybody, I'm Steph from Research and Development, and I'm joined here today by Rachel from Liminality, an independent sustainability consultancy, and today we're here to talk about the Accreditation program at Green Salon Collective. Rachel, could you just tell us a bit about the Accreditation program a bit?
Yeah, sure. So Fry and I started talking about it probably about 18 months, 2 years ago now, and Green Salon Collective really wanted to come up with a really stringent accreditation program for salons that included environmental sustainability and social sustainability, and yeah, Green Salon Collective really wanted that element of independent oversight. So that's the part that I provide, and as part of the process that salons go through, they fill out their form with all of the information on that we require, and then what they get is a phone call, a video call with me where we run through their application and I dive a bit deeper into the kind of things that they've put down. And then what I do is I go back to Green Salon Collective with my approval if they've passed, and then that's the kind of independent element of the process. So that's where I come in. And yeah, we really welcome applications from salons across the board, wherever they feel they're at on that sustainability journey, because we understand that it's better to be honest about where you are on that journey than kind of claim to be perfect and then have me pick it all apart. So yeah, we really welcome that kind of honesty and transparency as part of the process. And it's not as simple as just a pass or fail. We're really looking to kind of help salons who are on that journey. And that's part of the phone call that they get with me as well, is it's kind of two-way. So it's me diving deeper into what they're doing, but it's also an opportunity for them to ask me questions about maybe where they go next. So that's basically what the accreditation is. And yeah, it would be great. I think salons are often asking like, well, what is it? What do I need to do? What are the areas I need to be thinking about? So I think that was the thinking behind today, was we could kind of dig a bit deeper into each of the topic areas.
Well, speaking of which, what is one area that they'll be looking at?
Yeah, so the first couple of questions are kind of easy starter ones. It's around where do you source your energy from, and are you using kind of energy efficient products? So around energy, we know that a lot of salons don't own their own spaces, so they might be renting, so it can be tricky to decide or even be able to go with a different energy provider, and especially with the way that the energy market is at the moment, it's not a great time to switch. We understand that. So really it's about picking apart what a salon is doing. A lot of salons that have applied are already sourcing 100% renewable energy, which is fab. And then it might be like, okay, if you're renting the salon, can you talk to the landlord about switching to 100% renewable? Or if you're in a shared space, we've even had applications where people have then gone to other like tenants in that building and said, you know, let's sort of put some pressure on the landlord so that we can all be renewable, which is awesome. And yeah, around energy efficiency, obviously switching to LED lighting, A-rated appliances, and just having a kind of consciousness about not leaving stuff switched on, and that kind of thing. And then it kind of moves into water usage, because we know that water usage is a huge environmental impact from salons. So it's water efficiency, so things like low water usage, heads, shower heads, even through to kind of systems in loos that have kind of lower water intensity flush. So and just again being sort of mindful of that. And again, we even had one salon who were looking at drain sort of capture systems where it would kind of filter out harmful chemicals as well. So we're looking really to see that salons are kind of thinking about that, and also getting their staff to think about that, because it's all very well that coming from the top, but you need the people who are actually doing it every day to also be on board with that.
So beyond the maybe more obvious topics like water and energy, are there any other areas that are maybe surprises sometimes?
Yeah, so I mean, it won't be a surprise that obviously they're already members of Green Salon Collective, so they're already doing all of the recycling that you would expect from that fantastic service. So, you know, hair, colourways, PPE, all of those things. But actually we're looking as well for them to be thinking about their waste in general. Right. So also looking at waste to landfill, because, you know, there will still be a bin on site somewhere that's stuff that's not being recycled. And what I like to say to people is you need to get in your bin, which isn't great. but really have a look in there and have a dig and see what is it that's actually ending up in landfill. And quite more often than not, I think salons will be surprised by what's in there. Often it will be sort of staff generated rubbish from lunchtimes or things like that. And actually by seeing what it is you're generating, you can then begin to kind of get an understanding of how you can intervene to reduce that waste to landfill. So yeah, that waste, obviously with Green Salon Collective, that's going to be a really strong area for salons. And then the kind of more surprising elements that I think salons tend to have not thought about before, especially around social sustainability. So we didn't want it just to be about being eco or green, we wanted it to actually encompass holistic sustainability. So how are you treating staff? We know that can be a huge issue within the hair and beauty industry around kind of exploitative practices. So we're looking for things like, are you paying a living wage? Have you thought about the impact on your supply chain if you had to pay a living wage to cleaners or building contractors or whoever it is down your supply chain that's being impacted by your business? And yeah, just an awareness from salons that they have an impact beyond their immediate building and their immediate employees. And another one that tends to be the first time salon owners have thought about it is banking and finance.
It's a big one.
It's a big one, and you can have a huge impact, and you really don't want to be doing all of that hard work in your salon and then undoing it all by banking unethically. So that can be a really interesting one for salon owners to think about. And again, it's not as simple as pass or fail immediately on that question, because we know there are all sorts of reasons why a salon is banking, their business banking is with a certain bank, and it might be because it's in close proximity to the salon and they need to use that. It might be that they're rural and they only have access to one bank on their high street. But it's something that I think, even if it's a future goal, that you're understanding that you can have impact in that area, positive impact in that area, is really something to think about. And it's not just business banking, it's also pensions, employee pensions and personal pensions, to get people thinking about the impact that their money can have. So I think, that's probably a surprising one sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. I was surprised when you mentioned this to me a long time ago. But it's great. So the accreditation is not just about, saying, oh, I'm gold star, I've done this well. There is no perfect business, there's no perfect salon. So a part of the accreditation process is to pinpoint and highlight great areas that you're doing well at, and there's always going to be room for improvements, and that's part of the discussion. Yeah,
totally. And that's often the conversation that I have with salons, is that they will be achieving across a lot of areas. Everyone who's got the accreditation so far has been doing phenomenal stuff, really high impact stuff. And it's also about understanding that you sort of need to recognise how far you've come. And I think a lot of people in the industry are seeing how far salons have moved on in the last 10 years from how wasteful and the negative impacts that salons were having. And actually there has been a huge shift, and especially like the Green Salon Collective salons are really at the forefront of that shift. And it's recognising and celebrating that with your staff. So using the accreditation as a way to really pat yourself and your staff on the back for how far you've come. But again, like you say, always recognising, and it's the same with anything in sustainability and regenerative business, there'll always be more steps on the journey. So it's kind of being aware of where you can go next, where you can have the most impact, what you might not have thought about doing.
I guess that's what makes taking the accreditation, it's a yearly process, and doing it regularly will be much more of a deliberate way of looking at your success and your track records, and then making new targets, and then looking at them again and again.
Definitely. And I'm really looking forward to kind of coming back to some of those first salons that got the accreditation last year, and seeing kind of what they've done, what's new, and what have they worked on different areas. So really excited about that.
Well, thank you very much for joining me today to talk about this. It's been really enlightening, and I hope a lot of more salons sign up.
Thanks. Awesome.
Cheers.